In the name of the God whose mercy is deep and profound, whose kindness is forever, the question is faith blind? There are many people who actually make this claim that faith is blind. In other words, if you have a faith, you can't question it, you have to accept it, and you have to acknowledge whatever has been given to you in the name of faith. If we are talking about Islamic faith, of course we are talking about the faith that is mentioned in the Quran. And it can be said with great authority that the faith that Quran presents is not blind. In fact, it is a faith that has to be acquired through one's intellectual reasoning, through one's reflection, through one's serious pondering over the verses of the Quran and one's reflection on the surroundings of this universe, on one's understanding of what lies within us, within our heart and mind and soul. There are people who make a claim that the Quran says that the good believers are those who yu'minuna bil ghayb, who have blind faith. That's how this portion of the verse is translated. The fact of the matter is that the verse does not mean what many people claim. The verse means that good believers, God-fearing people, are those who believe while they themselves are in the unseen. They are living in a world wherein many of the realities of this world cannot be seen, and yet they believe in them because believing in them is what is natural, what is logical, what makes sense. There are a number of verses in the Quran which mention that the people who just believe blindly without giving any importance to arguments, they are the ones who are condemnable. We find, for example, a number of verses in the Quran which give us an understanding like this one, which says, when it is said to them that they follow what Allah has revealed, they say, no, instead we are going to follow what we have found our forefathers doing. The Quran responds to this understanding, this claim, by saying, are they going to follow their forefathers even when they had no understanding of what the truth was and they did not use their senses? In other words, what the Quran is saying is that following the understanding of the forefathers in faith is most certainly not an acceptable way of believing. Likewise, the Quran says that those who follow their forefathers blindly and therefore reject the truth when it comes to them, their example is like the example of those animals whom their shepherd is calling to attention, and yet what they hear is nothing but sounds and voices. These are the people who are deaf and dumb, and they would never come to the right path. The Quran says that the worst kind of beasts are those humans who are deaf, dumb and blind. They do not use their senses. And the Quran asks the believers, asks the readers to use their senses and to ponder over the verses of the Quran, and says that those who do not use their intellect while reading the Quran, who do not bother to understand the verses of the Quran, their hearts are locked, and they are the ones who really are not worthy of God Almighty's mercy. In other words, the understanding that faith is blind is not an Islamic understanding. Faith has to be reasoned. We have to understand what we are believing in. We have to know what the arguments are. And if there is somebody else who is presenting stronger arguments, then we have a religious duty to pay attention to what the other person is saying in order for us to understand and acknowledge the reality. There were people at the time of the Prophet, may Allah's mercy be on him, who believed that the faith that they have been given by their forefathers is the right faith. The Prophet presented God's message to them and continued to do it, but his message was rejected by those people, and the Quran described them as people who were kafirs, the disbelievers, who came to learn about the fact as to what the truth is, what is the reality of God, what is the reality of the life hereafter, and yet they were not willing to believe in it and to understand it. In other words, the Quran is making a very clear and emphatic mention. If you are a good believer, then you have to use your senses, your understanding, your intellect in order to appreciate your faith and believe in it and follow it properly. It is simply not possible that we follow our forefathers blindly without even bothering to understand what they are saying and what is the basis of their claims. If we do it, we are not following the Quran, we are not following Islam, because Islam stands for using intellect and understanding God's message with an open mind. May the Almighty enable us to use our intellect properly, and may He guide us always onto the right path.